Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. You don't need 100 enemies to destroy your life. Sometimes it's the man in the mirror. Sometimes it's the quiet little habits you think don't matter. But they do. Oh, they matter a lot. See, we don't wake up one day and lose our greatness. No, we give it away, bit by bit. One excuse at a time. One skipped goal. One more, I'll do it tomorrow. That's how we fall. Not with a crash, but with a whisper. A whisper. A whisper that turns into a storm. You think you have time. You think the little distractions don't hurt, but those distractions are designed to keep you average, to keep you soft, comfortable, numb. That snooze button, that's not just sleep. That's you delaying your purpose. The toxic friend you keep around because it's easier than being alone, that's not loyalty. That's fear talking. That's fear keeping you small. You don't even see it happening. That's the scary part. These habits, these invisible chains, you think they're nothing, but they're stealing your fire, stealing your vision, stealing your soul. Every time you give in to them, you get further from who you're meant to be. Let me be clear. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your job, not your friends, not even your talent. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take courage, and it's going to take truth. You've got to be real with yourself. What are you doing every day that's taking you further from your dream? What's got a hold on you right now? Is it laziness dressed up as I'm tired? Is it comparison? Scrolling through everybody else's life while yours passes by? Is it pride? Is it pride? Not asking for help because you don't want to look weak? That's not strength. That's ego. That's noise. And let me tell you, noise will drown your destiny. You've got to silence it. You've got to say, no more running from my purpose. No more hiding behind excuses. No more staying stuck because it feels safe. Safe never made history. Safe never changed the world. You've got something inside of you, a purpose, a fire. But it cannot breathe in a life full of clutter, comfort, and compromise. You've got to clear the way. You've got to confront the habits that are silently destroying your momentum. You fix them by facing them. You fix them by deciding, I won't be average. I wasn't born for mediocre. I wasn't born to survive. I was born to rise. And it starts right now, right here. No more pretending you don't know what's wrong, you know? You feel it. In your gut, in your spirit, that's your wake-up call. Answer it. Because the life you want, it's on the other side of these habits. And greatness doesn't show up when it's convenient. It shows up when you do. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. It's quiet, it's seductive, and it never announces its intention to destroy. That's what makes it so dangerous. Comfort doesn't show up like an enemy. It wraps itself around you like a blanket. It feels good. It feels safe. It whispers to you that you've done enough, that you can relax now, that striving is no longer necessary. And without realizing it, you stop growing. You stop pushing. You stop becoming the person you were meant to be. Most people don't lose their potential in a moment of crisis. They lose it in the slow, dull embrace of comfort. It's when you stop challenging yourself. It's when you stay in that job you hate because it's easy. It's when you stop going to the gym because rest feels better. It's when you quit reading, quit learning, quit dreaming because nothing seems urgent anymore. Comfort becomes a trap, a silent prison where growth can't survive. Greatness isn't born in ease. It's forged in struggle, refined in resistance. Every person who has achieved something significant has had to fight their way through discomfort, doubt, and fear. But the world we live in today sells comfort as the goal. Fast food, fast entertainment, fast money. Everything is about making things easier, quicker, more convenient. But the truth is, the easier life becomes, the less hungry we stay. And hunger is the fuel of greatness. Hunger keeps you sharp. Hunger keeps you reaching. When you lose that hunger, when you get too comfortable, you begin to rot inside slowly and silently. Comfort tells you not to take risks. It says, why try something new when what you have is already enough? It makes you fearful of failure, scared of judgment, terrified of being uncomfortable. But every dream that was ever realized came at the cost of discomfort. Every leader, every innovator, every trailblazer had to step outside of what was familiar. They had to confront fear, endure rejection, sacrifice sleep, and face uncertainty. You don't become great by doing what's easy. You become great by doing what's hard. Look around at your life. The areas where you've settled, where you've accepted less, where you've stopped growing. Those are the areas where comfort took over. Maybe it was a relationship where you stopped communicating because the silence was easier than confrontation. Maybe it was a career where you stopped striving because the paycheck was enough to survive. Maybe it was a vision you once had that you buried because chasing it felt too risky. All of it smothered by comfort doesn't just slow you down. It makes you forget who you are. It makes you numb to the fire that once burned inside you, that fire to build, to grow, to impact, to become. You tell yourself you're fine, that life is okay. But deep down, you feel the emptiness. You feel the restlessness. That's your soul telling you that you were made for more. That's greatness trying to wake you up. The enemy of your future isn't failure. It's not rejection. It's not criticism. It's comfort. Because comfort will never push you to improve. It will never demand better. It will never challenge your limits. It will never hold you accountable. Comfort lets you stay the same. And staying the same is death to your potential. We weren't created to live easy lives. We were built for challenge, for purpose, for growth. Trees grow stronger in the wind. Muscles grow through resistance. Diamonds form under pressure. Comfort removes all that. It removes the very things that make you resilient, strong, and wise. It makes you soft in a world that requires strength. It makes you slow in a world that demands speed. It makes you reactive when life calls for bold action. The most dangerous part of comfort is how normal it feels. It doesn't feel like failure. It doesn't feel like decline. It feels like rest. But it's not real rest. It's the kind of rest that lulls you into complacency, that dulls your ambition, that lowers your standards. Real rest recharges you. Comfort, when it turns into a lifestyle, drains you of your edge. You don't even realize how far you've drifted until you look back and see how much time you've lost. You can't chase comfort and greatness at the same time. One will always cost you the other. Greatness demands discomfort. It demands hard choices. It demands you face things you'd rather avoid. It means waking up early when you don't feel like it. It means saying no when your emotions scream yes. It means choosing growth over approval, discipline over ease, purpose over pleasure. If you ever feel stuck, uninspired, like something is missing, ask yourself this: when did I stop being uncomfortable? When did I stop challenging myself? When did I start settling for a good enough? Because somewhere in that moment, comfort took control. And if you want your power back, you have to take it from comfort's hands. You have to do the hard thing, the scary thing, the unfamiliar thing. It doesn't mean you never rest. It doesn't mean you live in burnout. But it does mean that your life is bigger than your need to feel good all the time. It means that short-term discomfort is worth the long-term reward. Every time you choose discomfort in the name of growth, you are making an investment in your future. Every time you resist the pull of comfort, you're building character, you're building strength, you're building destiny. Comfort is not your friend, it's not your ally. It's the invisible weight on your shoulders, the silent thief of time, the voice that tells you to stay in bed when your purpose is calling. It will tell you that there's always tomorrow, but greatness knows there's only today. There's only right now. Small daily habits shape your destiny. Not the grand gestures, not the once-a-year resolutions, but the simple, repeated actions you do when no one is watching. The truth is, your future is not decided by a single moment of inspiration or one breakthrough event. It is shaped in the quiet, ordinary hours of your day. The choices you make every morning, every afternoon, every night, they are the architects of your destiny. What you do daily is more powerful than what you do occasionally, because habits, once formed, begin to operate automatically. They run in the background of your life, influencing your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, your energy, and your outcomes. Every time you choose to get up early instead of sleeping in, you're choosing discipline over comfort. Every time you choose to read instead of scrolling endlessly, you're choosing growth over distraction. Every glass of water instead of soda, every moment of silence instead of noise, every focused hour instead of procrastination. It all adds up. It doesn't feel like it in the moment. The results aren't always immediate. That's why so many people ignore the power of small habits. They're not loud. They don't come with fireworks. But they build, quietly, steadily, like bricks being laid one by one to construct a tower. It may seem small today, but over weeks, months, and years, those small bricks become a fortress of success or a prison of failure, depending on what habits you're stacking. People often underestimate what they can do in a year and overestimate what they can do in a day. We chase big changes overnight, forgetting that transformation doesn't happen in the crash. It happens in the consistency. A healthy body isn't built in the gym on one intense day. It's built in the small decisions, showing up daily, choosing the right food, getting rest, staying hydrated. A successful career isn't built by a single opportunity. It's built by showing up with excellence every day, improving a little at a time, staying prepared even when no one's watching. The same applies to your mindset. The thoughts you feed your mind each day shape your beliefs. If every morning you start with gratitude, if every night you reflect and correct, if throughout the day you speak life over your goals instead of doubting yourself, your mindset will become a place of power instead of fear. And that mindset will direct your actions. And your actions will shape your results, and your results will become your reality. It all starts with the smallest daily shift. Even your relationships are molded by habits, saying a thank you, taking a moment to check in, listening instead of interrupting, giving your full attention instead of half your focus. These little habits of connection determine whether a relationship grows deeper or falls apart. It's not the grand vacations or the dramatic gestures that sustain a bond. It's the small, repeated acts of respect, kindness, and presence. Your spiritual life, too, is guided by small daily habits. A few quiet moments in prayer, a short passage of reflection, a habit of stillness in a noisy world. These small rituals build spiritual depth over time. They keep you centered when life gets chaotic. What is? They remind you of purpose when everything else tries to pull you off course. They ground you. Small habits are the invisible roots of a great life. Like roots under a tree, you don't see them, but they hold everything in place. They determine how tall you grow, how strong you stay in the storm, how much fruit you bear. And just like roots, the strength of your habits is revealed over time. You can't fake them. You can't shortcut them. You have to build them, brick by brick, day by day. And the truth is, bad habits work the same way. They build slowly, quietly, destructively. Every skipped workout, every excuse, every moment you let negativity linger, every time you break a promise to yourself, even a small one, you're forming a pattern. That pattern becomes who you are. And over time, it becomes your reality. You don't just have a bad habit. A bad habit slowly becomes you. That's why awareness is so critical. You have to inspect your daily patterns. You have to ask yourself, what am I becoming based on what I do every day? Are your habits pushing you closer to your vision or dragging you away from it? Are they building you up or breaking you down? Are you creating a life you're proud of? Or are you coasting through life on autopilot? The key isn't perfection, it's progress. It's progress. You don't need to flip your life upside down overnight. You just need to start. Replace one harmful habit with one helpful one. Drink water instead of soda. Read 10 pages instead of scrolling 10 minutes. Stretch for 5 minutes instead of staying stiff. Reflect instead of react. Choose peace over drama. Over time, that one small change becomes part of who you are. It becomes natural. And then you add another, then another. Suddenly, your life starts to shift. It's not magic, it's math. It's the math of consistency. One good decision a day doesn't feel like much, but multiply that by 365, and you've got a completely different life in 1 year. 10 minutes of learning each day doesn't feel life-changing, but after a year, you've read more books than most people ever will. 5 minutes of gratitude a day rewires your brain to see joy even in struggle. The numbers don't lie, but the key is showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because motivation will fade, feelings come and go, but discipline, habit, that's what lasts. That's what carries you on the days when you feel tired, doubtful, or distracted. That's what keeps the momentum going even when results aren't visible yet. That's how you win the long game. Destiny isn't an accident. It's built. It's designed. And the design is in your daily actions. People wait for purpose to find them, but purpose is something you create by aligning your habits with your vision. If you want to be a writer, write every day. If you want to be fit, move every day. If you want to be wise, study every day. Don't wait for a special day. Make every day special by showing up. Excellence isn't an event. It's a lifestyle. And a lifestyle is built with habits. Small, powerful, consistent habits that become part of your identity. You become a disciplined person by practicing discipline, not by thinking about it. You become confident by taking courageous action, not waiting for confidence to magically appear. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. That's why the habits matter more than the goals. The most successful people in the world aren't superhuman. They've just mastered the ordinary. They've committed to doing small things well over and over again. They've decided that every action matters. Every word matters. Every decision builds something. They take responsibility for their time, for their energy, and for their choices. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure, systems, and self-respect. That's what it comes down to, respecting yourself enough to build habits that protect your peace, your future, and your purpose. Your destiny isn't some far-off dream. It's being shaped right now in the minutes and moments of today. And it all begins with what you do next. ChatGPT said, "You become what you tolerate." That simple sentence holds a truth so powerful that it can either awaken you or make you uncomfortable. But either way, it demands attention. The standards you set for yourself, the behaviors you accept from others, and the excuses you allow in your own life. These are the silent forces shaping who you are becoming. Toleration isn't passive, it's permission. Every time you allow something in your life, you are telling yourself and the world what you're willing to accept. It starts small. You tell yourself it's not a big deal. You excuse that disrespectful comment from a friend. You stay in that toxic relationship because it's easier than starting over. You skip one workout, then two, then you stop altogether. You put up with a job that drains your soul because the paycheck keeps you afloat. And before you know it, those small tolerations become your normal. They become part of your identity, part of your story. You didn't choose them consciously, but they chose you the moment you stopped saying no. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. If someone consistently disrespects you and you do nothing, you're not just tolerating their behavior, you're reinforcing it. You're silently telling them, "This is okay with me." And over time, they believe it's acceptable because you've never set a boundary. You've never stood up for yourself. And when you fail to set boundaries with others, you also fail to set boundaries within yourself. Toleration isn't always external. Often it's the internal battles you keep losing because you refuse to take control. You tolerate procrastination and it becomes your habit. You tolerate negative self-talk and it becomes your inner voice. You tolerate laziness and it becomes your identity. The things you silently accept in your daily life become the patterns that run your future. You can't grow beyond what you're willing to confront. You tolerate chaos in your environment, and soon you can't think straight. You tolerate clutter in your schedule, and soon your time is no longer your own. You tolerate people who drain you, and soon you have no energy for your goals. You tolerate a life that feels empty, and you call it normal. But normal doesn't mean acceptable, and familiar doesn't mean healthy. Just because something has become routine doesn't mean it should remain in your life. Self-respect is measured by what you no longer tolerate. When you start raising your standards, everything begins to change. It's change. You stop answering calls that leave you emotionally exhausted. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop compromising on your values to make others comfortable. And you begin to realize that peace isn't found in pleasing others. It's found in honoring yourself. Every powerful transformation begins with the decision to no longer accept what once was. That means taking a hard look at your life and asking the uncomfortable questions. What am I tolerating that's holding me back? What have I grown numb to that's actually destroying me? What cycles am I stuck in because I've convinced myself I have no other option? That kind of honesty is the starting point of real change. You don't have to tolerate the voices in your head telling you you're not enough. You don't have to tolerate being overlooked or undervalued. You don't have to tolerate mediocrity when you were created for excellence. The more you tolerate what's beneath your worth, the further you drift from your purpose. Life doesn't just happen to you, it responds to you. It mirrors your standards, your decisions, and your boundaries. When you raise your standards, some people will walk away. Let them. They were only attached to the version of you that didn't know your value. When you stop tolerating toxic energy, those who benefited from your silence will call you difficult. Let them. It means your voice is finally being heard. When you stop tolerating excuses, you will be forced to take accountability. That's not pressure. That's power. That's ownership of your life. Tolerance is not the same as patience or love. You can be loving and still have boundaries. You can be patient and still demand respect. You can be kind and still choose yourself. There's strength in saying, "This isn't good enough for me anymore." That's not pride. That's self-awareness. That's refusing to build a life on foundations that are cracking. Think about every major change in your life. It didn't begin when something new arrived. It began when you finally got sick of something old. You got tired of being tired, tired of making excuses, tired of waiting, tired of pretending. And in that tiredness, you found clarity. You found resolve. You found the strength to let go. That's the power of no longer tolerating. There's a cost to toleration. You might not see it right away, but you feel it. It shows up as anxiety, as regret, as low energy, as resentment, as that heavy feeling in your chest when you wake up to a life you don't recognize. A life that looks nothing like the one you dreamed of, a life that was slowly built, not by bold decisions, but by quiet compromises. The moment you decide to stop tolerating what is not aligned with your vision, everything changes. Your circle gets smaller, but your peace gets deeper. Your schedule gets clearer, but your purpose becomes sharper. Your days feel lighter because you're no longer carrying what was never meant for you. The space you create by letting go of what you tolerated is the same space where growth, healing, and breakthrough can finally breathe. And understand this, it's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aligned. It's about knowing what serves you and what drains you, what helps you grow and what keeps you stuck, what builds your future and what keeps you in your past. Once you see clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you refuse to tolerate what's not serving you, you start walking in your power. You start to realize that the life you want isn't found by adding more. It's found by removing what no longer fits, by stripping away the noise, by cutting off the weight, by saying, I love myself too much to keep accepting this. And that's when you stop surviving and start living. That's when you stop shrinking and start standing tall. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. The world will always try to hand you its version of who you should be. It will pressure you to tolerate things for the sake of acceptance, comfort, or security. But your job is not to live by what the world expects. Your job is to honor the call inside you. And that call doesn't speak through chaos. It speaks through clarity, through conviction, through the choices you make every single day about what you will and will not accept. You become what you tolerate. Not overnight, but gradually, consistently. And that's the truth most people avoid because it puts responsibility back in their hands. It says your life is your result, not of your environment, not of your upbringing, but of your standards. And your standards are shown in what you tolerate. Raise them and you raise your life. Lower them and you lower your destiny. It really is that simple. ChatGPT said, discipline is freedom. At first, that phrase seems contradictory. How can structure, rules, and self-control lead to freedom? Isn't freedom about doing whatever you want, whenever you want, whenever you want? That's the illusion. That's the lie many people live. But true freedom, the kind that gives you power over your life, clarity in your purpose, and peace in your soul, can only be found through discipline. The absence of discipline might feel like freedom in the beginning. Skipping the workout, eating whatever you want, sleeping in, spending money without a plan, avoiding difficult conversations, all of it feels good for a moment. But the cost is always waiting. That's what discipline gives you, a direction and the ability to stay on it. Even creativity, which people often think needs total freedom, thrives in discipline. The most brilliant artists, writers, and creators all have rituals. They have routines. They show up at the same time, in the same place, and they create, not because they feel like it every day, but because they've made it a practice. Discipline unlocks the door to flow. Without it, creativity is wasted potential. And when storms come, and they always do, discipline keeps you grounded. It's easy to fall apart when life hits hard, but if you've trained your mind, if you've disciplined your spirit, you can bend without breaking. You have habits that hold you up, a routine that reminds you who you are, anchors that keep you steady. That's the kind of freedom most people never find, because it's only earned in the fire of consistency. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. Small disciplines practiced daily compound into massive results. 5 minutes of journaling, 10 pages of reading, 15 minutes of exercise, saying no when it's easier to say yes, waking up when you said you would. These aren't big moves, but over time they create big shifts. The truth is most people are imprisoned by their own choices. They live in bodies they neglect, relationships they don't nurture, jobs they complain about, and mindsets they never challenge. They think freedom means no rules, but the lack of discipline is what keeps them trapped in debt and regret, in anxiety, in mediocrity. Because when you don't rule your habits rule you. Discipline is not a burden. It's the foundation of peace, of strength, of excellence. It allows you to walk confidently because you've built something solid underneath you. It gives you the freedom to say no without guilt, the power to say yes with full commitment, and the wisdom to know the difference. It simplifies your life by eliminating the unnecessary, so you can focus on what truly matters. Freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is having the ability to become who you were meant to be. And that only happens through discipline, through repetition, through structure, through the quiet, unglamorous work that nobody claps for. But that work builds a life worth living, a future worth waking up to, a version of yourself you're proud to know. And that is the highest form of freedom you will ever find. So here it is. Every word, every truth, every challenge was meant to awaken something in you. Your life is not the result of luck, chance, or talent alone. It is built daily by the choices you make, the standards you uphold, the habits you practice, and the discipline you live by. Comfort may feel safe, but it robs you of purpose. Small daily habits may seem insignificant, but they create your future. What you tolerate becomes who you are, and without discipline, freedom remains just a fantasy. If you want to change your life, you don't need to wait for permission, a perfect moment, or a miracle. You need to start right now, right here, with what you do next. Because your destiny is not waiting somewhere in the distance. It is waiting for you to decide.